welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you don't know me, my name is Jess and I love sharing my reading online. Today we are doing a charity shop book haul, if you haven't already guessed by the title. Quite obvious. I'm going to go through all of the books that I've bought very recently, tell you about them. You will have seen them in my short, but I will be explaining what they're about, that kind of thing. We'll just go through them. I haven't got too many, but it's a good enough charity shop book haul. Without further ado, let's get into it. Book number one, I have The Teacher by Freida McFadden. Now, I'm fairly certain this is really new. It has most definitely been read. It is a little bit water damaged, spine is completely cracked. Someone really enjoyed this. Let's get into it. The Teacher by Freida McFadden, you may already know, but she wrote the series The Housemaid. She also wrote other books such as The Co-worker, One by One, The Locked Door, and Never Lie. Now, like I said, I'm fairly certain The Teacher's pretty new, but let's have a look. I've got my iPad up here with all of my Goodreads. Let's see. The Teacher by Freida McFadden was released, I knew it, February this year. It's around 400 pages and it's got an average rating of 3.94 stars on Goodreads. It says, lesson number one, trust no one. Eve has a good life. She wakes up each day, kisses her husband Nate, and heads off to teach math at the local high school. All as it should be, except last year, Kasem High was rocked by a scandal involving a student-teacher affair with one student, Addie, at its centre. But Eve knows there is far more to these ugly rumours than meets the eye. Addie can't be trusted. She lies, she hurts people, she destroys lives. At least that's what everyone says, but nobody knows the real Addie. Nobody knows the secrets that could destroy her, and Addie will do anything to keep it quiet. So I'm fairly certain this is a thriller. Freida McFadden is known for them. I'm actually so excited to read this. Summer is not the time for me to read thrillers, so this will definitely be read this winter, but my goodness, I predict this will probably be about a 4-star thriller for me. I've never read a Freida McFadden book before as well, so. On to the next book, or should I say 2 books. I have 2 very different copies of Holes by Louis Sachar. My generation of kids, adults, whatever you want to call us, you will remember this movie. Oh my goodness, I loved this movie. Now, I bought this copy first. This is a Bloomsbury edition and it's really quite skinny, so a bit intrigued. This was on sale for like £1 and it's literally brand new. Like, there is nothing wrong with this book at all. Then literally a day later, I found the most, you can hear it. I mean, the spine is only cracked down the middle. It's incredibly water damaged. It's incredibly water damaged and old, but I had to do with an original front cover copy because I'd never seen this one before. Now, this is about a boy called Stanley Yelnats who has horrific bad luck. When Stanley's bad luck unfairly lands him in the juvenile detention centre Camp Green Lake, a very weird place that isn't green and doesn't have a lake, he and his campmates Zero, X-Ray, Armpit, Squid, Magnet and Zigzag are forced to dig holes in order to build character. But what are they really digging for? We've all seen the movie, let's be honest. I don't need to go into it. I think this is a bit of like a coming of age mystery type book. I have a feeling it's YA with the potential for foul language. This one was rated a solid 4 on Goodreads, so 4 stars on Goodreads, and this was released 2nd of September 2000, my goodness. So it's a good old book. I believe when I first read this, I rated it a 5, but I was really young, so I'd have to read it again to see what my actual like review of it is now, but we'll see. Next up is The Wake Up Call by Beth O'Leary. Now, I've heard about a few of her books. She definitely wrote The Flat Shirt and I think she wrote The Switch Up as well. I have never read a Beth O'Leary book before, but this looks really nice. Apart from the cracked spine, this copy is in fairly good condition. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea how much I read it. Oh, apart from the fact that it has got a very mysterious stain on the back. This book was rated 3.57 stars on Goodreads overall. Slight intermission, we're having to leave the door open because I have a very clingy dog. You know something to say? Can I help you? Can I help you? He's nearly a 40-kilogram Doberman and he thinks he's a lapdog. Go on then, sit down. I'm so glad you saw that. Go on then. Sit down. Lay down. Yeah, that's a good boy. Okay, so now we've calmed down, I've been joined by a friend. Brief intermission in the talks about The Wake Up Call by Beth O'Leary, but while we're nice and calm, I'm going to read you the back of the book. It says, "Welcome to Forest Manor Hotel, where the staff and guests are one happy family. Except for Izzy and Lucas, bitter rivals banned from working the same shift for everyone's sake. After struggling for years, the hotel may have to close its doors forever, but when Izzy returns a guest's wedding ring, the reward convinces management that this might fix everything. With 4 rings still sitting in lost property, Izzy and Lucas are forced to work together to save the day. As their rivalry becomes something much more complicated, Izzy and Lucas wonder if there's more at stake than the hotel's future." I'm assuming this is kind of an enemies to lovers romance. It literally says at the top, "This enemies to lovers story is full of laughs and chemistry." So it's an enemies to lovers. Like I said, I've never read a Beth O'Leary book before, so we'll have to see how this one goes. Okay, next up is one of my favourites of this haul, and that is Almost Adults by Ali Pantani. I've never heard of this author before. I have no idea if he's an English author, an American author, and this is a great copy. This looks pretty much brand new. There's no issues on the spine, no issues on the actual book. It's a very floppy cover. Love a floppy book. This one is about 4 girls who are in their 20s. It's basically like a coming of age, but they've already come of age, they're just coming of age again. From what I've seen, this is just a great book about 4 friends just surviving life together and getting on with it. This was rated 3.66 stars on Goodreads, and it's had 117 reviews, so it seems quite a small book. It doesn't actually look like there's many chapters in it, to be honest. Not much to say about this one. It's quite nondescript. I do like the cover though, I'll give it that. Next up, I have You, Me and the Movies by Fiona Collins. I believe I've heard of her, but I'm not entirely sure. This was rated 3.71 on Goodreads and only has 124 reviews, so I'm assuming it's not very big. This was released in 2020 as well, and I have a feeling it's a romance. It says 2 people, 10 classic films, a love story you'll never forget. That sounds quite interesting. Let's read the back. When Arden meets Max, she quickly falls for the handsome, charismatic film lecturer. Their love is the sort that you see in movies, dramatic, exciting, and all-consuming. A love like theirs could never last. But years later, while visiting a friend in hospital, Arden sees one face she can never forget. Badly injured, Mac can only make brief references to classic films they once watched together, which is all it takes for Arden to remember everything. Will Arden ever find a movie-worthy love again? This has me asking questions. How did Mac end up in hospital? I guess I'll have to read it to find out. I predict this will be about 3 stars. I'm not gonna lie. Only because it seems like quite a cliche story. Next up is Women in Love by D.H. Lawrence. I believe this is kind of a classic. I have no idea. Goodreads isn't giving me much, to be honest. So this is a very worn copy. As you can see, the book is just out of shape. Hello, puppy, okay? The spine, lovely and cracked. We have a little bit of damage in the corners, barely anything. But you know what? I absolutely love this colour. I think this is insane. And on the back as well, we can actually clearly see each of the 4 characters. Now, Women in Love is D.H. Lawrence's masterful sequel to The Rainbow, revolving around the lives and loves of Gudrun and Ursula Brangwen and their search for happiness against a backdrop of personal calamity and political turmoil. In the 1910s, artist Gudrun falls into a destructive relationship with colliery owner Gerald Gritch, while teacher Ursula opts for school inspector Rupert Birkin. Suppressed for more than a decade because of its stormy sex scenes, this unsurpassed exploration of relationships between men and women has much more to recommend it than just erotic power. Lawrence deals with a tangle of complex issues at the heart of which are his 2 fascinating female characters. Okay, so it's 2 parallel love stories. Might be a bit of an erotic romance from the sounds of it then. Next up is a Jenny Colgan book, and it's Sunrise by the Sea. Now, I'm fairly certain I've heard of this author because my mother likes reading these books. And if that's the case, I think I might have to give this one to her because I know for a fact these are the types of books she likes to read. Now, Sunrise on the Sea is, I'm assuming, a kind of literary romance, literary fiction romance by the seaside. When she is given the opportunity to move to a remote tidal island of the Cornish coast, Marissa Rossi decides some peace and quiet might just be what she needs. Since the death of her beloved grandfather, she's been struggling to find a way out of her grief. Perhaps this will be the perfect place for her to recuperate. But Mount Polburn is a far cry from the sleepy little place she was imagining. Between her noisy piano-teaching neighbour and the hustle and bustle of a busy community, Marissa finds solitude is not so easy to come by, especially when she finds herself somehow involved with a tiny local bakery desperately in need of some new zest to save it. Now, this, I believe, is literary fiction then. There is just a great heartwarming story in this. Not my kind of read, but interesting all the same. I will probably have to give it a go at some point. That actually looks lovely, but I think I'll be giving this to my mum to read first for sure. That was given a 3.97 on Goodreads and has been rated 1,042 times, so but it has 11,182 ratings, so it's a very well read book. Next up is The Girl with All the Gifts. Now, I've only ever heard of one other person reading that is my friend Erin from university. She has a lovely reading Instagram. I shall drop her link. Erin's the only other person I've seen reading this. Now, this copy is bent beyond belief, and again, it is also slightly out of shape. Corners are a little bit damaged and we have a little bit of bending in the book, but apart from that, it's not destroyed. Now, I believe this is a fantasy or a sci-fi thriller. Oh, a thriller. It literally says at the top, the most original thriller you will read this year. Okay, brilliant. So this came out in 2014. It's Goodreads rated 3.95 from 231,757 ratings. Every morning, Melanie waits in her cell to be collected for class. When they come for her, Sergeant Parks keeps his gun pointing at her while two of his people strap her into the wheelchair. She thinks they don't like her. She jokes that she won't bite, but they don't laugh. I remember when Ben bought me these and I had a look at this one and I just thought, oh my goodness, that sounds insane. Now, it is huge for a thriller, but it seems a bit more like sci-fi mystery thriller with a little bit of fantasy because she's got magic powers, I believe. It says The Girl with All the Gifts, so I'm assuming so. I reckon this will be a good 4.5 stars when I get round to this. Again, this will probably be a winter autumn read for sure. Next up is The Summer Girl by Jenny Blackhurst. Now, I have read a Jenny Blackhurst before, and that is The Hiking Trip, which I absolutely adored. Now, this one I believe is probably also a thriller. It is in pretty good condition, just one crack down the middle, and the rest of the book, the corners are a little bit dodgy, but that's fine. It was rated 3.91 stars on Goodreads from 967 reviews, and it was released 13th of July 2023, so on my birthday. It's got to be good. So, it's going to be a summer she'll never forget. Claire's little sister Holly has been working on the millionaire's playground of Martha's Vineyard, going to barefoot beach parties and flirting with the local rich kids. But now she's missing and no one seems to care, including the police. They think a message Claire received is proof she's safe. What will she have to risk to find out the truth? Who are the locals protecting? And what does it have to do with another girl who went missing 5 years ago? Classic Jenny Blackhurst. I love it. I know for a fact there's going to be a huge twist in this because there was in The Hiking Trip, and I am all for it. Easy 5 stars, I reckon. Up next, and the second to last book, is The Spook's Curse by Joseph Delaney. Now, like I said, my partner bought me all of these books in the charity shop. He always goes in because I never get the chance to go to the charity shop myself. And it's so exciting because I never know what I'm going to get. And I'm so beyond grateful that he just absolutely feeds my book addiction. I believe this is the second in a fantasy series. It's quite small, as you can see. I mean, it's definitely creased. I think it's some sort of like fantasy horror. It says warning, not to be read in the dark. You've been Mr. Gregory's apprentice for 6 months, so you've had long enough to see things for yourself. Mam said, and by now the dark has noticed you and will be trying to hunt you down. But remember this, when you're a man, then it'll be the dark's turn to be afraid, because then you'll be the hunter, not the hunted. That's why I gave you life. The spook and his apprentice, Thomas Ward, have travelled to Priesttown to defeat the Bane, a powerful evil creature that lurks in the catacombs of the cathedral and is corrupting the county. As Thomas and his master prepare to battle with the Bane, they soon realise it isn't their only enemy in Priesttown. The Quisitor has arrived, searching the county for those who meddle with the dark, witches, warlocks and spooks. Can Thomas and his master survive the horror that follows? So this has got to be like a fantasy horror, I'm assuming. I believe it's YA. It was published 2005, and this is the second in the book series. So I'll have to get the first one. That actually sounds pretty cool. It was given 4.31 stars on Goodreads from 31,289 reviews. Okay, that actually sounds really cool. I reckon this will be like a 3 stars for me, just as like a cute little fantasy horror to read. Again, a winter read. Now, next up we have 2 of these absolutely gorgeous and in perfect condition fantasy books. This one does have a crack in the spine, but we're going to overlook it considering the rest of the book. Now, we have The Binding and the Betrayals by Bridget Collins. Now, these are pretty chunky books, but like you can see, they are stunning. So The Binding was rated 3.86 stars on Goodreads from 79,303 reviews, and The Betrayals 3.49. Let's get into the crux of these books. Emmett Farmer is a bindings apprentice. His job is to handcraft beautiful books, and within each to capture something unique and extraordinary. A memory. If you have something you want to forget or a secret to hide, he can bind it. and you will never have to remember the pain it caused. In a vault under his mentor's workshop, row upon row of books and secrets are meticulously stored and recorded. Then one day Emmett makes an astonishing discovery. One of the volumes has his name on it. I'm so intrigued. Gorgeous book though, oh my goodness. I have a feeling these are young adult. So this only came out in 2019, okay. Oh, it's in parts, I love it. Okay, next up we have The Betrayal. So this is the second in the series. Winning was everything until it destroyed them. Two young men, Leo and Carfax, close friends and fierce rivals. A family ripped apart by madness and tragedy. One woman, her life built upon a lie, with a mysterious connection to them all. Will the truth be revealed? That doesn't sound like anything to do with The Betrayals, does it not? Let's have a look. There's me thinking that because these were very similar, they were part of a series. They're not. They're two completely different standalone books, but I'm all for it. I'm so all for it. Actually, I think this is brilliant. I was so convinced they were part of a series because look at them. But now I guess the font is different on the front. One's bigger, one's smaller, that kind of thing. So anyway, I don't know how I feel about the second one. I think that's probably going to be about 2 stars for me, I'm not going to lie. I think it's a bit of a fantasy slash mystery slash betrayal thriller maybe. I could be completely wrong, but that's the kind of impression I'm getting from this. Now, the binding I know for sure is a fantasy because we're binding memories into books and that just doesn't happen in real life. But it could also be kind of a crime. Okay, I've got to dive deeper into this, haven't I? Okay, so it's a historical fantasy fiction, magical realism, coming of age, alternative history. That is The Bindings. I had a feeling. So let's go for The Betrayals. Historical fiction, magical realism, fantasy fiction, Bildungsroman. Can ask Google about that one because I'm not sure. And political fiction. Okay, so very much of the same kind of genre. I'm rather interested. I have a feeling this is easily 4.5 stars. I have a feeling this was anywhere between 2.5 to 3.5 stars, to be honest with you, but we won't know until I read them and I can't guarantee when I'm going to read them. But so far we have added lots of books to our TBR. This is a very short video today because like I said, I'm trying to get back on to rescheduling my videos. For those of you who voted, thank you so much. I will start posting on a Wednesday. Let's end it here. We have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 books from the charity shop. Whoopoo. Let's add them to my TBR. You can go find my Goodreads, go find my Instagram. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in next Wednesday. I post shorts every Sunday. Thank you so much for subscribing. Your support means everything to me and I shall see you next week. Of a Wednesday, oh, it's just tuning in. You want to sit? Go on then, sit down. He thinks he's a lapdog. No, we're not eating our feet today. Jesus. Oops, I ran out of storage.